Welcome to CBC Windsor News at 6. I'm Meg Roberts. Thanks so much for spending part of your evening with us tonight. A new formula for the city's stormwater tax is hitting an organization hard with the potential to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars more a year. Plus, lots of celebrations this weekend. We share with you plans for the Hindu Festival of Color. And you've never heard her voice and you've never seen her on television, but we are honoring one of our very own as she retires today after 49 years. There's pushback to the city's plan to increase the sewer surcharges on larger businesses in Windsor. The Port Authority says it's going to get socked with a $310,000 bill in 2025. As the CBC's Dale Molnar explains, it doesn't think it should have to pay it.
The Port Authority has about 32 hectares of property on the waterfront in various areas of Windsor. The president and CEO says water from that property doesn't drain into the city's sewer system. So they don't see why they should pay the sewer surcharge.
We have self-contained drainage. We are very responsible environment stewards. We ensure our water is well protected, and then it's drained back into the Detroit River directly. Our head office is certainly, is supported by stormwater services, and it's a reasonable, request of the city to pay our fair share. But where we are not affected, or we get no net benefit, or contribute no stormwater to the municipal system, I think we are looking for more information from the city as to why the port should be expected to contribute to that fund.
The Port Authority is the latest big landowner pushing back against the new charge. St. Clair College also is trying to digest the impact.
We've talked to the city. We have a meeting coming up. We have a checklist of things to get back to the city. We plan to have a meeting to get real costs.
What we are trying to see is if there is a way in which we can address this in a way that the businesses don't have to pay that steep increase come 2025.
Meanwhile, the CAO of the Essex Region Conservation Authority agrees the city should allow some wiggle room for businesses such as the Port Authority, which have other ways of collecting stormwater.
It needs to be tweaked and it needs to have further considerations.
Councillor Kieran McKenzie sits on the Environment Committee. He says the city should take that into consideration. He says the city just wants the businesses to pay their fair share.
What I think all of council is searching for is an end to the subsidy for entities that are pushing a tremendous amount of water and stormwater runoff into the sewer system that is being subsidized by, for the most part, residential owners or residents in the city who own just small little parcels who are being charged, I think it's fair to say, more than their fair share.
The Port Authority also questions whether the city has the authority to levy the sewer surcharge on it since it's a federal entity. Now they're looking to meet with the city. The new surcharge doesn't come into effect until next year. Dale Molnar, CBC News, Windsor.
Windsor hopes the new provincial budget will help them get a vacant home tax in place. The budget will give cities the ability to implement their own tax plan. Windsor's tax is at 3% of the assessed value of a home. Council approved the program last year. A home is considered vacant if it's unoccupied for 183 days. West End Councillor Fabio Costante says it should help get housing units on the market.
When you look at the vacant home tax and encouraging property owners to not sit on these vacant properties and do something with them in the midst of a housing crisis, that helps.
The list of the highest paid public sector workers has been released today, and the highest earner in our city is Windsor Regional Hospital CEO David Mouget. He took home a salary of $433,000 last year. University of Windsor President Robert Gordon was second with $372,000. The City of Windsor had 8 people who made over $200,000 last year. That's including Mayor Drew Dilkins. 6 executives at Enwin Utilities also made more than $200,000, including CEO Gary Rossi with a salary of $295,000. Windsor police have charged a man with allegedly making death threats against Mayor Drew Dilkins. According to police, the mayor's office received an anonymous threatening phone call yesterday morning. The Major Crimes Unit investigated and identified a suspect, a 68-year-old Windsor man. The suspect was arrested last night at his home. He's facing 1 count of uttering threats to cause death or bodily harm. A man wanted by Windsor police on a long list of charges is now being sought by law enforcement across Canada. A Canada-wide arrest warrant was issued today for 30-year-old Nicholas McCullough. Police say he was breached the terms of his statutory release as he was serving parole in the community. Right now, his whereabouts are unknown. He was serving a more than 6-year sentence after being convicted of aggravated assault and discharging a restricted firearm with intent. That's among other charges. Officials say he's known to frequent cities in southwestern Ontario. The federal government will roll out the new $10 a day childcare program across the country Monday. Canada's Justice Minister was in Windsor today to make the announcement.
Why is that? It's critical because we're doing this in a manner that empowers women to make active choices rather than forced choices about whether they re-enter the workforce or enter it for the first time, or whether they're complied to stay at home as the primary caregivers of most children in this country.
This week, Ontario signed onto a national childcare agreement with the federal government. It will bring $10 a day childcare to every province and territory by 2026. Ontario was the last jurisdiction to do so. Ontario's $10.2 billion deal will cut childcare fees in the province in half by the end of the year. While in Windsor, the minister also addressed the growing auto theft problem in Windsor. He says in the last 8 weeks, the government announced almost $200 million in funding, including $120 million to assist law enforcement in Ontario. He says $28 million has gone to the Port of Montreal to combat the export of the vehicles. He says they are spending $15 million in assisting with international cooperation. No injuries or leaks have been reported after a train derailment early this morning in Sarnia. CN Rail says a 14-car train left the tracks around 4:20 this morning as they were pulling into a train yard in the west end of Sarnia. 3 of those train cars were carrying liquefied petroleum gas. Officials say none of that leaked and no fires were sparked. Colette, when I was little, my parents always hid our eggs outside. Actually, my dad made it his mission to find the most remote locations to hide chocolate. For any family that has similar traditions, outside traditions, what kind of egg hunting weather are we in for this weekend?
Well, you know, we are going to have kind of some hit and miss areas here, but I think Easter Sunday, if that's your outdoor Easter egg hunt, perhaps things will be okay in terms of dry, but maybe some cloud cover. So I'm going to show you the detailed forecast on that. And if you do have to take it inside, I will say that when I was a kid, and now I do this for my stepkids, we set up very challenging Easter egg hunts. So, I mean, sometimes you need tools. You have to take things apart to find, you want to be careful with that, but to find where we put the eggs. All right, let's show you what's happening on a broader scale with your weather, and we'll stick with that. A very juicy situation here along the eastern seaboard as that frontal boundary is just kind of stuck there. And that area of low pressure, because of that, is also still stuck up around James Bay. And then in between, we fare a little bit better in terms of our sky conditions with this ridge of high pressure over top of us. However, because we're between the two systems, we get that stronger pressure gradient, and that drives the winds. So that's why we get these windy conditions. The current temperature is 6 in Chatham-Kent, 8 Sarnia, and you're looking at 6 in London, and Windsor still holding there on to 9 degrees. But the winds, these are the sustained ones. They're not terribly strong. It's these gusts. Throughout the afternoon, plenty of gusts that were over 40 kilometers an hour. And then just last hour, we had a gust over 50 kilometers an hour. And this is where they stand now. So they'll sort of drop back a little bit through the overnight hours, and then just watch out again tomorrow, especially kind of through the afternoon. Some westerly winds will get a little gusty once again. But the bit of cloud cover that we've had, we'll see that eroding through the overnight hours. So we get into clear skies overnight. It's going to make a cool start tomorrow morning, but a beautiful setup. You may even want to do your Easter egg hunt a little early on Good Friday because the conditions will be so nice. Lots of sunshine there. I do want to show you, though, what's to come, which is after Friday. As we get into Saturday, it does look like a system's going to be passing here along the southern edge here in towards Lake Erie and moving some rainfall along this region. That may even push a bit further north, but at least it looks like some wet weather then into Saturday Saturday, and then clouds kind of hanging on into Sunday. This model is really heightening it. There is a chance, if it just moves that little bit north, that we're talking about 20 millimeters or so. Again, that's Saturday, so just be watching. It's still a little bit away, that forecast. Tonight through the overnight hours, -1, but look at tomorrow morning, down to -5. It's going to feel like -9, but 11 degrees, gorgeous day Friday. Showers still mild enough Saturday, and then yeah, Monday, a chance of showers, and I see that really into the beginning of next week, Meg.
Well, here's the thing, Colette. You can't just give away the chocolate in the eggs. You know, you have to make the kids work for it, I think.
I think you do too, but just don't do this. Last year I hid one in the air fryer, and my stepson turned it on to preheat, and it was one we didn't realize hadn't been found. So
no.
Don't do that.
Yeah, that becomes hot chocolate at that point.
Pretty much. Just add milk.
Thanks so much for that, Colette.
You're welcome.
Windsor's Hindu community is inviting the public to join a celebration this Saturday. They can guarantee that it's going to be colorful, messy, but joyous. CBC's Dawson Chen spoke with members of the community about the Hindu Festival of Color.
It's called the Holi Festival. That's spelled H-O-L-I. And last weekend, thousands of Windsor Hindus celebrated it. This coming weekend, the non-Hindu community is invited to also join the festivities with plenty of music, dancing, and splashes of color.
We will start a color fight in the front as well. And color fight, you will get all unlimited colors. There is a DJ as well, DJ Harry. He would be present, his music and everything, so you can do dance and food and enjoy all the vibrant of the Holi. So color fight, basically you have to throw it like with the DJ music, and you have to throw it the color all over the faces and with everyone, whoever your friends we are bringing here. Yes, it's a very big party.
Color shows the arrival of spring, right? There are a lot of flowers coming in, but the other legend was we had a god Krishna. The god Krishna's skin color is blue, and he was very shy to meet his love, Radha, and his mom says, just throw color on her, okay? And then you won't feel the difference between your color and her color. Krishna Radha story is a epitome of love for Hindus. So that's why the color, throwing up the color came in.
It's a joyous moment for the color festivals. So people throwing the color each other in, and they sing a song as well. Peaceful, happy, healthy. And this is the motto behind the color festivals. Just come out, celebrate together, support each other, help each other, and forgiveness is also there.
The Holi 2024 event takes place this Saturday right here at the Windsor Hindu Temple and Cultural Center, 7007 Enterprise Way, starting 5 p.m. Attendance is $10, and the non-toxic colors are provided for free. Dawson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
Happy Holi!
This week's Rose City Rewind, a story about the Oleomargarine Act. Ontario repealed it in the late 1990s. Until then, it was technically illegal for companies to make or sell margarine that was colored the same as butter. The battle over butter-colored margarine was a long one. This story in 1990 featured a Windsor advocate.
The government doesn't restrict the color on any other product that is produced. Why should they restrict it on margarine?
Geraldine Sabby got involved in the fight to lift that restriction 3 years ago. The Oleomargarine Act was passed in 1949. It forces margarine manufacturers to make their product either lighter or darker than butter. The purpose of the act is to preserve the economic stability of the dairy industry and to protect consumers from fraud and misrepresentation. But the margarine industry and consumers like Jerry Sabby say that's not only ridiculous, it violates the Charter of Rights, and they think it's time the law was changed.
Plain sugar and diet sugar is the same color. We know how to read. We know how to differentiate between one and the other. So why the difference between butter and margarine?
The Dairy Bureau of Canada says if color restrictions on margarine are lifted, butter sales will drop by 15% and dairy farmers will lose their jobs. It's easy to see why the Dairy Bureau is concerned about butter sales. All of this is margarine, about 3/4 of the total product in the dairy case. This is the butter.
You can't see the color of margarine until you take the lid off of the container. So what's the big deal?
Beautiful sunset to take us into the long weekend. We have details on an interesting Easter event you won't want to miss. Week's End with Josiah coming up after the break. As we approach the Easter weekend, I'm joined now by Josiah Sinnan for his Week's End update. Josiah, I'm very excited to hear about this weekend's event.
Yeah, Meg, this is really exciting, and I'm going to premise this by throwing some numbers at you. Are you ready?
Okay, ready.
So picture this, 800 children, 25,000 Easter eggs, and a helicopter all in a field together. Can you see it?
I think I'm getting the picture, and I'm very intrigued.
Yeah, so let me put those all together for you. This is a popular activity in the U.S. If you haven't heard of it before, it's called an egg drop. So a helicopter will be literally dropping 25,000 plastic Easter eggs at the Volmer complex in LaSalle on Saturday morning, and 800 kids from our community will be picking them up and running around the field. So Meg, this is a picture of all of those Easter eggs in preparation, and I just want to clarify, they're not actually dropping these eggs on the kids.
Okay, good.
No injuries, but the kids will be picking them up after they watch the helicopter drop those off. And we actually have footage from this happening in Waterloo just last week to give you an idea. Pretty cute. So the kids will be split into 3 age groups between 2 and 10 years old. They'll collect as many eggs as possible, and then they get to trade them in for an Easter bunny and some chocolate at the end.
Well, I think I would have absolutely loved doing this as a kid. One, because I'm really competitive.
Yeah.
So I would have wanted to collect as many eggs as possible.
You would have won for sure. Like tooth and nail, you would have been in there, I know.
What else is happening at this event?
Yeah, so Meg, it's going to be quite festive. The Easter bunny himself will be making an appearance for some photo ops. There'll also be a DJ and some other goodies and surprises. Now, Meg, this is fully at capacity right now, so you actually can't register.
Darn.
Sorry to let you know that. But those eggs will be picked up again for next year. We spoke to the WFCU's Community Investment Manager, Beth Ann Prince, for some more info. They partnered with the town of LaSalle to pull this off.
It's going to be a quick event. People don't realize how fast, you know, a couple thousand eggs get picked up by these anxious little ones. So people think it's going to be like an all morning event, but it's not. It takes about 10 minutes to clear that field.
Well, I cannot wait to see pictures from this event. Thanks so much, Josiah.
Thank you, Megan. Happy Easter.
Thank you. Coming up, we are going to introduce you to a member of our team that has been here for nearly 50 years. Today happens to be her last day. We say goodbye to Darian tonight. Stay tuned. 4 Ontario school boards are suing some of the biggest social media companies. They allege products like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok are designed to rewire the way children think, behave, and learn, and not in a good way. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson explains.
It's a David versus Goliath battle, the first of its kind in Canada. 4 major school boards launching separate lawsuits against social media giants, Snapchat, TikTok, and Meta, asking for over $4 billion. They allege that these companies have knowingly and negligently disrupted and fundamentally changed the school learning and teaching climate by creating and sustaining prolific and/or compulsive use of their products by students.
We've just seen such a significant change in student behavior and student mental health and well-being that it is just incumbent upon us to speak up, and we cannot wait any longer.
The lawsuit comes at a time of high scrutiny of social media and its impact on the lives of kids and teens. It also comes on the heels of hundreds of similar legal proceedings launched by school districts in the U.S.
Not all of these things will stick, but I think what's happening is governments, parents, school boards are trying lots of different things to make the student experience as they grow up better, right? So they're less distracted, they're more focused, and they're able to learn and participate in the world the way we want to.
In a statement to CBC News, Snapchat spokesperson wrote, "While we will always have more work to do, we feel good about the role Snapchat plays in helping close friends feel connected, happy, and prepared as they face the many challenges of adolescence." Experts say it's questionable whether the school boards will receive $4 billion, but the lawsuit makes a powerful statement in and of itself. So far, it's a big hit with concerned parents.
If they're not going to make voluntary changes, then maybe doing it through the courts is the most effective way. I think the evidence is showing that there's clear relationships to anxiety, depression, with outcomes like self-harm and loneliness. I guess it's complicated why that happens, but it seems clear that there's a relationship there.
And medical research backs up that claim. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
Easter is still a few days away, and children in northern Poland are already celebrating. They have decorated giant Easter eggs with designs paying tribute to their heritage. Some kids use glue to stick fabric and tissue paper on the eggs to depict sailors and fish, a tribute to their port city. A final goodbye for our very own Darian Bernard. You've never heard her voice on radio or seen her face on television, but she's been with the CBC for 49 years. She started as an editor here and finished her career as CBC Windsor's media librarian. She's been a wealth of knowledge for so many of us here, and I was so grateful to sit down with her on her final day.
Darian, I feel so honored to be interviewing you today on your last day. How are you feeling?
I feel really strange, and I'm looking forward to being retired, but this has been my whole life since my early 20s, and I'm 72 now, so I gotta say it's pretty weird.
You started the CBC almost 5 decades ago. You were practically raised here.
I grew up here thinking about this place because my grandfather worked here, and Grandpa Chick was the traffic manager.
You're finishing your career as the media librarian, but you've also done so many other roles here.
I've always just viewed myself as a worker bee. I never wanted to be a reporter or do camera or be in front of the camera ever. I just wanted to assist and try to do that. As an editor, it was editing to deadline. So we'd be told, the show starts in 5 minutes, and you have to have that story ready in 5 minutes. And there were a lot of times we used to have to run a tape. We'd finish on tape, and then we'd have to run down the hall to the videotape room to say, the story's ready, just cue it up, it's ready. And that was a lot of stress. I'm going to miss the people, because I just have so much fun talking to people, learning about their lives, and also looking at video. I love looking at video and describing it. And I end up, I think, learning a lot about our community and about how people, what struggles they go through, joys they have by like looking at a story and really concentrating on the content. I love that. And I never watch the news at home because I work the news. I've never watched the newscast, which is weird. But I'm going to miss the people.
We're going to miss you, Darian. Well, that's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website at cbc.ca/Windsor. Thanks so much for tuning in. Looking forward to seeing you back here next Tuesday.